everyone. In today's video, we're going to be talking about common mistakes I have made as a leader. These are things that I have gladly picked up early in my life so it doesn't become a disaster. But my intent with this video is to share with you all how you don't have to make the same mistakes. And for every mistake, I will also share with you some tips on how you can prevent and identify those mistakes before it becomes a disaster for your life and career as well. Let's get started. The first one, wanting to win too much. So I was a typical angry young man of the corporate life when I started off. Especially I became a general manager at the age of 28. Big responsibility, $100 million company that I was running as a general manager. 200 odd people reporting to me. Everyone almost was double my age. And I was paranoid about failing. I knew that it was a big responsibility. I was a very, very young leader in a foreign country, coming from India especially, had a lot of things to prove to myself. So I started pushing myself, working very, very long hours, wanting to make sure that every day was a success. Every month end, I was getting all the accolades. Everybody should be praising me. This is what I had in my head. And the way I was running this race, people started getting worried, can I sustain this race? And believe it or not, in a very, very short term, I actually started floundering and failing because I was just pushing myself too much. Working 18 hours, 20 hours, I suddenly fell sick and I was out of action for a whole month. And that made me realize and recharge what is it I really am trying to achieve with this. Now, what can you do if you get into a similar situation? You just have to remember that you are not running a sprint, but your life is a marathon. And success will only come when all parts of your life are going to be happy. So when you start wanting to win, pick your battles. Write down 2 or 3 non-negotiable wins that you want to succeed in your life at that point of time and work towards that. Don't try to win every single game that you're trying to play. Remember, you want to win the championship, not just every single game. Maybe you win first 3 games and you may just lose the whole championship after that. That's the first mistake and the first tip. The second mistake that I did was wanting to recruit people who are a lot like me or with similar styles. As a person who is a very extroverted person, who loves creativity, who loves having people around me, I started recruiting people a lot like me. Then it became like similar styles. So all my management team was all looking very similar, very highly talented, young, aggressive, smart. But then the problem is there was no diversity in thought. There was no diversity in action. We did not even know that we were making a mistake because we all thought the same way. And this brought in a lot of problems. Fundamentally, the results started getting affected. Now, you need to be careful about this. In organization, we also call it bias. We all have a bias of recruiting people similar to us, like a mirror. If we are a media candidate from our own college, we like them. If they are from our own state, we like them. Own language, culture, beliefs, we like them. So what you have to do is, every time you sit to recruit somebody, you have to channel your head before you go into the interview and say, I'm not going to have a bias. I'm going to be very, very practical. Write down the interview questions, go through the interview, and make sure at the end of the interview, you ask yourself, were you biased or were you neutral? Even better, have 1 or 2 more panel members with you so that they can help to make sure that you are not taking a biased decision. So this will help you to bring a superb diverse team, and research says that a diverse team will help 90% of companies to succeed compared to a non-diverse team. This I'm even seeing right now in my organization. We have improved diversity a lot, all types of diversity, including diversity in thought process, which is something that we don't target. The third mistake that I committed was not being open to confront people, especially if there are problems going on. We often have this problem. When you have to give a negative feedback to somebody, we hesitate. And I was one of those people. I just wanted to be like a nice person. I never wanted to have a conflict with anyone. I never wanted to face conflict. If I sensed conflict, I sensed danger. And I said, I'll just make it all look nice. I will just say, it's all fine, there's no problem. But it will one day bite you, right? It's a little bit like, every day the food you're being served is not of good quality. And if you don't tell the person cooking, they will never know. They will keep giving you bad food. Similarly, that's what I was doing. People were not performing well. I never told them that there was a problem. Then one fine day, end of the year, when I had to do a performance review, I told them your performance is bad and I have to sack you, which is so bad for that person, what I was doing. And I only learned it from making some of these mistakes and realizing how I am not being fair to people. If you are being fair to people, you have to tell them regularly what they're doing well, and if they're not doing well, tell them on their face. It may be very, very difficult. Trust me, it's not easy. For me, for example, it wasn't easy. But the only way I could do it was, I used to always think that if I don't tell this person honestly how they are doing, I am not helping them to succeed in life. Because if they are my brother or sister, I will tell them the fact, right? So if I really care about them, I tell them what they're not doing correctly, because I don't want them to fail. I want them to succeed. So if you ever come to a similar situation where you hesitate from confronting reality, you hesitate from handling conflict, dealing with conflict, just remember that if you don't deal with conflict and resolve conflicts, it will kill you, your relationships, your career as well. Even happens with my wife and me. Sometimes we avoid confronting discussions. We just don't want to have a fight. But someday it will blow out. Too much. You want to avoid that. So even if in a relationship, you're working with a boss, you're having problems, you're having a problem with your staff, talk to them openly and talk to them sooner than later. Don't wait for 6 months or 1 year and then tell them, because it will be too much. Even better example I can give you, write down specific examples when incidents happen. If I am talking to a particular staff and if there is a problem, if I don't like the way something they have said, I write down the date and time of that incident and I tell them, yesterday this is what you said, this was wrong. This is not how you should speak. Then it's very specific. It is not judgmental. It is very practical and very straightforward. That is another big mistake I did, and I learned it from a lot of these kind of examples. The next mistake I did was lack of emotional maturity. As a young leader, you have a lot of adrenaline, testosterone rushing in your body, that you just want to get things moving. You start questioning things, sometimes very irrationally as well. EQ, now we even have DQ. Emotional quotient, decency quotient. It's something is very, very important for successful leaders. And initially in my career, I had still not groomed on those parts, and I used to behave like a very angry young man, confront my bosses, challenge them too much, challenge my colleagues too much, without understanding the problem. So you need to figure out this. I would suggest that you should regularly ask for feedback about this part of your personality. And if you feel that this is a problem, I suggest that before you start reacting, you should start thinking. Before you start speaking, take a pause. Think, do you need to speak about this? Do you need to speak about it now? Or can you speak about it later? Then you will have more of a very emotionally mature answer. Because when you start behaving emotionally like a child, a lot of your career progression gets stalled. I know a lot of people, I don't promote them because they behave like a kid, even though they are in a very good performance position as well. So, important for you to hone your emotional quotient, which was a mistake I did, and I hope you don't do that. The last point I want to share with all of you, the mistake is not getting into details. As a person, I'm a very high-level strategic person. I like big picture. But then, if you don't get into details, you get into a problem as well, especially if you're a small company or a medium-sized company. So early again, when I was running small organizations, I was just looking at big picture. I was not understanding that I was missing out a lot of points about the details. So a lot of times customers used to call me and ask me, hey, what happened? This particular problem is not solved. And then I realized that I've not asked these questions. So if you are a similar person having similar issues, my suggestion to you was take 1 point a month, maybe one particular problem a month. Try and analyze the root cause and get into details. And then force yourself to write down those details, understand it, and try to rehearse it or try to share it with other people. When you do that, it helps you to improve your own attention to detail. So try to make it like 1 a month and then make it 2 a month. Slowly you will start getting better and better and better, and you will get better at both attention to details and the bigger picture. So I hope these mistakes of mine helps you not commit them and make you a successful leader as well in future. Thank you so much again for listening to me. Till I see you next time, of course subscribe to the channel, but keep chasing and seeing success. Thank you. Do click on the subscribe button and notification button to continue watching all the videos that I'm posting.